The galaxy was peaceful, but that peace was about to end. It started with a signal, a strange message that came from the edge of the galaxy. The message was full of warnings, cries for help from planets that were now silent. One by one, those planets went dark. Nobody knew what had happened to them, but something terrible was coming. On the planet Zorak, the Council of Elders met in a grand chamber. They were the leaders of the Zorakians, one of the most advanced alien races. The Elders were usually calm, but today they were nervous. A large screen showed the latest images from the destroyed planets. What they saw was shocking. Cities lay in ruins, ships were torn apart, and no life could be found. "We have never seen anything like this," Elder Tuvok said, his voice shaking. "This force is destroying everything in its path." The other elders whispered to each other, their faces pale with fear. No one had an answer. They had always thought they were the strongest, the smartest in the galaxy, but now they were scared. "We must call for help," one of the younger elders suggested. "The other planets must know what is happening." Elder Tovik nodded. "Yes, but will it be enough? We have to prepare for the worst. We don't even know what kind of enemy we're facing." As the Council of Elders discussed their next move, the same scene was happening on other planets. The Scary, known for their powerful warships, were also afraid. Their leaders gathered in secret, trying to figure out how to defend themselves. The Glorians, a peaceful race of scientists, were already planning to leave their homeworld, hoping to escape before it was too late. All over the galaxy, fear spread like wildfire. On a distant planet called Draka, General Vorlak stood before his army. He was a giant of a creature, known for his strength and bravery. But even he felt fear deep inside him now. He looked at his soldiers, strong, fierce warriors, but they too looked uncertain. "We don't run from battles," Vorlak said, his voice booming. "But this enemy is different. We don't know what we are fighting, and that is why it is dangerous." His soldiers nodded. They had fought many battles before, but this one felt different. They didn't know what was coming, and that unknown scared them more than anything else. Meanwhile, on a small outpost far away from the main planets, a group of alien explorers picked up the strange signals. They listened in horror as they heard screams and warnings from dying planets. One of the explorers, a young Glorian named Zira, shook her head as she listened to the last message from a destroyed colony. "There's nothing left," she whispered to her crewmates. "The planet is just gone." The other aliens on the outpost were silent. The creatures that had destroyed the colony were moving quickly. No one knew where they would strike next. Zira looked out of the window at the stars, wondering how much time they had before the same thing happened to them. As word spread across the galaxy, fear took hold. Some races tried to prepare for battle, building defenses and weapons. Others, like the Glorians, decided to run, hoping to find safety somewhere far away. But no one knew if there was anywhere safe. On every planet, the same question echoed. What kind of enemy were they facing? And could they stop it before it was too late? In the middle of all this chaos, one thing became clear. This was not an ordinary enemy. It wasn't just about power or technology. The creatures that were coming had something darker, something more terrifying than anyone had ever seen. They didn't just want to conquer. It wanted to destroy everything in their path. Back on Zorak, the Council of Elders made a desperate decision. They sent out a call for help, broadcasting a message to every corner of the galaxy. They hoped that somewhere out there, someone could stop the monsters. But deep down, they feared that even with all the galaxy's might, it wouldn't be enough. As the message spread, reaching planets and space stations, some races responded with panic, others with silence. No one knew how to fight an enemy they couldn't even see. Fear had taken hold of the galaxy, and soon the creatures would arrive. And when they did, no one knew if they would survive. Aliens tried to fight. The galaxy had received the warning. Planets everywhere were preparing for the worst. The alien races, though different in every way, appearance, technology, and culture, had one thing in common now: fear. But fear alone could not save them. They needed to fight back. On the planet Zorak, the Council of Elders continued to meet, planning their next steps. They sent messages to every major alien race, asking them to join forces. Never before had the galaxy faced such a dangerous enemy. The aliens knew that if they didn't come together, they would all be destroyed. "We cannot win this alone," Elder Tovik said as he stood in the Grand Chamber. His voice echoed through the room. "Every race in the galaxy must help. If we combine our strengths, maybe, just maybe, we can defeat this threat." The Zorakians, known for their advanced technology, offered their warships. The Scary, famous for their warriors, promised soldiers to fight. The Glorians, the smartest scientists in the galaxy, brought their knowledge to help develop new weapons. Together, they hoped they could stop the enemy. But even as the aliens prepared, there was doubt. Many of them had already seen the destruction caused by the mysterious creatures. Entire planets wiped out, armies crushed, ships torn apart as if they were made of paper. Could they really stop such a powerful force? On the planet Draka, General Vorlak was gathering his troops. His army, the Drakari, were some of the best fighters in the galaxy. They were large, tough creatures with thick, scaly skin and strong claws. In the past, they had defeated many enemies. But this time, even Vorlak wasn't sure. "We will fight with everything we have," Vorlak told his soldiers. "We have no choice. If we don't stop this enemy, there will be nothing left." His soldiers nodded, but they looked nervous. They had heard the stories of entire planets being destroyed in seconds. They had seen the images of broken ships floating in space. Still, they readied their weapons, determined to protect their home. In the great space station orbiting the planet Zoltar, leaders from different alien races had gathered. The air was thick with tension. This was the first time so many different species had worked together. Usually, they didn't trust each other. But now, they had no choice. "We need a plan," said Commander Skeldar, a tall, insect-like alien from the planet Graken. "We cannot just send ships blindly into battle. We need to find out more about this enemy." The Glorian scientists agreed. They had been studying the few bits of data they had on the creatures. But so far, nothing made sense. The creatures seemed to appear out of nowhere, attack quickly, and disappear just as fast. No one had been able to capture one or even get a good look at them. "We must lure them into a trap," one of the Glorian scientists suggested. "If we can study their behavior, we might find a weakness." The plan was simple but dangerous. The combined fleets of the galaxy would set up a defense line at the edge of the Zorak system. They would wait for the creatures to arrive, and then fight them with everything they had. But the real goal was to gather information. They needed to know more about their enemy. As the fleets gathered, the mood was tense. Ships from dozens of alien races floated in space, waiting for the battle to begin. Soldiers checked their weapons and systems. Engineers worked frantically to make last-minute adjustments. Everyone was nervous. The hours passed slowly. Then, without warning, the creatures appeared. They came out of the darkness, hundreds of them. At first, they looked like shadows, but as they got closer, their terrifying shapes became clear. They were massive, with long, spiked limbs and glowing red eyes. They moved quickly, their ships cutting through space like knives. "Here they come," someone shouted over the comms. The battle started instantly. The alien fleets opened fire, lasers and missiles shooting through the void of space. The creatures moved fast, dodging most of the attacks. When they struck, they did so with deadly precision. In seconds, several alien ships were destroyed, exploding into fireballs. The alien commanders tried to coordinate their fleets, but the enemy was too fast. The creatures seemed to know exactly where to hit. Ships were torn apart, their pieces scattered across space. General Vorlak's fleet was in the center of the battle. His soldiers fought bravely, firing at the creatures with everything they had. But even the tough Drakari warships were no match. One by one, they fell. "We can't hold them," Vorlak shouted as his ship shook from an explosion. "We need to retreat." But there was nowhere to go. The creatures had surrounded them. The trap had failed. The aliens had learned nothing. Their fleets were being destroyed, and the creatures were showing no mercy. As more ships exploded, a sense of doom filled the air. It seemed like the battle was lost. But then, out of the darkness, came a signal. A new fleet had arrived. It was humanity. Humans aren't afraid. The galaxy was in chaos. Alien ships were burning, and the strange creatures seemed unstoppable. The battle had turned into a nightmare for every race that dared to fight. But just as all hope seemed lost, a signal came through the darkness. A new fleet was arriving. It was humanity. On board the flagship of the human fleet, Captain Sarah Walker stood tall, watching the battle unfold on the main screen. Her crew worked quickly around her, preparing the weapons and shields. Unlike the aliens who were panicking, her crew remained calm and focused. This wasn't the first time humanity had faced a deadly enemy. "Status report," Captain Walker said, her voice steady. "Enemy ships are attacking all over the system. The alien fleets are in disarray. They've lost over half their ships," her tactical officer responded. Walker nodded. She had expected this. The alien races were strong in their own way, but they lacked one thing that humanity had mastered: courage in the face of impossible odds. Humans had always been different. When others were afraid, humans fought harder. "Send a message to all ships," Walker ordered. "Tell them to hold the line. We're going in." The human fleet was small compared to the alien armada, but their ships were built for war. Sleek, fast, and heavily armed, the human ships moved into the battlefield with precision. They didn't hesitate or scatter like the aliens. Instead, they formed a tight formation, preparing to hit the enemy where it hurt. As the human ships entered the battle, the aliens watched in surprise. The humans were outnumbered, but they didn't seem to care. They weren't running or retreating. Instead, they charged straight at the creatures, firing their weapons with deadly accuracy. On the bridge of an alien command ship, Commander Vryn, a Zorakian, couldn't believe his eyes. "Are they crazy?" he muttered, watching the humans dive into the fight. The humans didn't just fight. They fought smart. While the alien ships had been trying to spread out and defend themselves, the humans attacked in waves, focusing all their firepower on a few enemy ships at a time. Their strategy was simple but effective. One by one, the creatures' ships exploded, sending debris spinning into space. On the human flagship, Captain Walker was already planning the next move. "Target the largest enemy ship," she commanded. "Let's see what these things are really made of." The ship's guns locked onto the massive creature ship in the center of the battlefield. It was huge, dark, and terrifying, but Walker wasn't afraid. Her crew worked quickly, charging up the ship's main cannon. "Fire," she said calmly. A powerful beam shot out from the human flagship, hitting the enemy ship dead center. The creature ship shook from the impact, but it didn't explode. Instead, it began to turn, its glowing red eyes fixing on the human fleet. "They're coming for us," Walker's tactical officer warned. Walker smiled. "Good. Let them come." As the massive enemy ship closed in on the human fleet, the other alien races watched in awe. The humans weren't retreating. They were standing their ground. For the first time, the aliens saw that the creatures weren't invincible. The humans had found a way to hurt them. General Vorlak, still fighting with his Drakari soldiers, saw this too. He had never thought much of humans before. They were smaller, weaker, and far less advanced than many other races. But now, watching them fight, he realized that humans had something special. They weren't afraid to face death head-on. "Humans," Vorlak muttered under his breath. "They're not like the rest of us." The humans continued their assault, hitting the creatures with everything they had. The alien commanders, seeing the success of the human strategy, began to regroup. Ships that had been scattered now moved back into formation, following the humans' lead. For the first time since the battle started, there was hope. Captain Walker watched as the massive creature ship moved closer. "Prepare the torpedoes," she ordered. "We're going to end this." The human ships fired a barrage of torpedoes, each one packed with enough firepower to take down a small planet. The enemy ship tried to dodge, but it was too slow. The torpedoes hit their mark, exploding on impact. The creature ship shuddered, and then, with a massive burst of light, it was gone. A cheer went up across the human fleet. They had just taken down one of the largest enemy ships, something no other race had been able to do. But Captain Walker didn't celebrate. She knew the battle wasn't over yet. There were still many enemy ships out there, and the humans couldn't fight alone forever. "Send a message to the alien fleet," Walker said. "Tell them to stay with us. If we work together, we can win this." The message went out, and one by one, the alien ships responded. For the first time, the galaxy's races were united, following the humans into battle. The creatures had met their match. As the human ships moved deeper into the battle, Captain Walker looked out at the stars. She knew this was just the beginning. The enemy was strong, but so were humans. And if there was one thing humans were good at, it was surviving. Humans arrived just in time. The battle raged on in the dark void of space. Alien ships fought fiercely against the terrifying creatures that threatened to destroy everything. As explosions lit up the dark sky, hope began to fade for the alien races. But just when it seemed all would be lost, a new fleet appeared, a fleet of humans. As Captain Sarah Walker led her human ships into the fray, she felt a rush of adrenaline. The aliens had fought bravely, but were struggling against the overwhelming force of the creatures. Walker knew that time was running out. They had to act quickly to turn the tide of battle. "Prepare to engage," she ordered. Her crew moved with purpose, their eyes focused on the enemy. They had trained for this moment, and now it was time to put their skills to the test. As the human ships moved forward, the alien fleets watched in awe. The humans flew in tight formations, working together like a well-oiled machine. They were small in number, but their courage shone brightly in the darkness. Commander Vryn of the Zorakian fleet observed the humans closely. "They are brave," he said to his officers. "I've never seen anything like this before. They do not fear the enemy." Indeed, the humans fought with determination. Their ships zipped around the battlefield, firing lasers and missiles at the creatures. The aliens saw that the humans had a strategy, a way to take down the enemy. With renewed energy, the alien fleets rallied behind the human ships. "Let's follow their lead," General Vorlak shouted to his Drakari soldiers. "If they can do this, so can we." The Drakari warriors surged forward, following the humans into the thick of battle. They had fought bravely before, but now they felt a sense of unity. They were not alone anymore. The humans had given them hope. As the creatures began to attack, the humans were ready. They quickly coordinated their movements. "Target the left flank," Captain Walker shouted. Now, the human ships fired their weapons in perfect harmony, creating a wall of fire against the creatures. The aliens joined in, shooting their weapons alongside the humans. The once chaotic battlefield turned into a synchronized dance of destruction. The creatures tried to fight back, but the united forces of humans and aliens were too strong. One by one, the enemy ships began to fall. The air was filled with cheers as the aliens watched their enemies get pushed back for the first time. In the command center of the human flagship, the atmosphere was electric. Crew members exchanged smiles and high fives as their tactics worked. Captain Walker felt a rush of pride. They were making a difference. "Keep pushing," she commanded, her voice firm. "We have to take out their command ship." The aliens had seen the power of the human fleet and rallied behind them. They began to organize their attack, following the human strategy. Commander Vryn gave orders to his fleet, inspired by the humans' bravery. "Form up. We will attack together," he commanded, his voice booming. With the combined strength of humans and aliens, they targeted the massive command ship of the creatures. It was the largest ship in the enemy fleet, and if they could take it down, it would break the enemy's will. As they approached the command ship, the creatures fought back fiercely. Energy beams shot through the darkness, striking the alien and human ships. But the combined forces pressed on, refusing to back down. Captain Walker's heart raced as she saw their ships moving together, dodging and weaving through enemy fire. "Lock on the target," she shouted. "Fire on my mark." The human ships moved in closer, with the aliens flanking them. The tension was thick in the air. They could feel the weight of the moment. The fate of the battle depended on their next move. 3, 2, 1. "Fire," Walker ordered. A wave of lasers and missiles shot out from the combined fleets, hitting the command ship with powerful explosions. The creature ship shook violently, its hull starting to crack under the assault. "Keep firing. Don't let up," General Vorlak yelled, his voice filled with excitement. The Allied forces continued their relentless attack. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the command ship erupted in a blinding flash of light. The creatures were thrown into disarray as their leadership crumbled. The battlefield fell silent for a moment. Then, cheers erupted from both the humans and the aliens. They had done it. They had taken down the command ship, and with it, the creature's strength began to fade. The remaining enemy ships turned and flowed into the darkness, leaving the combined fleets victorious. Captain Walker stood on the bridge, a smile spreading across her face. The battle had been fierce, but they had won against all odds. The alien races looked at the humans with newfound respect. They had faced their fears and fought alongside them. In that moment, the lines between different races blurred. They were no longer just aliens and humans. They were allies, united against a common enemy. As the last of the creatures retreated, Captain Walker looked around at her crew. "We did it. We fought together and won. This is just the beginning. We will stand strong against any threat." The crew erupted in cheers, their spirits high. They had shown the galaxy that even in the darkest times, they could rise together and overcome. And so, the galaxy had a new story to tell, one of unity, bravery, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. With the battle won, they prepared for whatever came next, ready to face the future together. Humans lead the way. The victory in the battle against the creatures brought a wave of relief across the galaxy. For the first time, the alien races saw that they could win, but they knew they could not let their guard down. The creatures had retreated, but they could return at any moment. They needed a plan, and the humans had proven they were capable leaders. Captain Sarah Walker stood on the bridge of the flagship, looking at the stars. The glow from the nearby planets filled the room with a soft light. She felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. The humans had fought bravely, but now they needed to show the rest of the galaxy how to fight as a team. "Gather everyone for a meeting," Walker said to her first officer, Lieutenant Kim. "We need to discuss our next steps." As the crew members filed into the command center, they exchanged excited glances. They had just won an incredible battle, but they knew it was only the beginning. They had to be ready for what was coming. Once everyone was present, Walker took a deep breath and addressed the group. "First, I want to congratulate all of you. We did something amazing today. Together, we showed the creatures that we can fight back. But now we must prepare for their return. We can't let fear stop us." General Vorlak, the Drakari leader, stood up, towering over the humans. "You humans fought with honor. Your bravery inspired my soldiers. But what should we do now? We need a plan." Walker nodded. "I agree. We need to gather intelligence about the enemy. We can't just wait for them to attack again. We need to learn as much as we can." A young Glorian scientist named Zira spoke up. "I can help with that. We have advanced technology to track enemy ships. If we set up sensors around the galaxy, we might be able to predict their movements." The aliens nodded in agreement, realizing that this was a smart idea. They needed to work together to prepare for the next battle. The humans had proven they could lead, and now it was time to follow their example. "Let's split into teams," Walker suggested. "The scientists will set up the sensors, while the warriors will train together. We need to practice fighting as a united force. We must be ready for whatever comes next." The crew sprang into action. The scientists began working on the tracking systems, while the soldiers prepared for training. Humans and aliens practiced together, learning each other's strengths and weaknesses. They formed bonds as they trained, realizing that they were stronger together. As the days went by, the atmosphere on the ships changed. They were no longer just a group of alien races. They had become a family, united by a common purpose. The humans led the training sessions, teaching the aliens how to work as a team. They showed them new tactics, using their unique experiences from countless battles. On the training field, General Vorlak stood with Captain Walker. "You humans have a different way of thinking," he said, his deep voice rumbling. "Your strategies are unusual, but they work." Walker smiled. "We've learned from our mistakes. We've fought many enemies, and know that the key to victory is teamwork. We must trust each other if we want to win." With each passing day, the soldiers grew stronger. The humans taught them how to communicate effectively during battle, coordinating their attacks with precision. They practiced maneuvers that allowed them to support each other in the heat of the fight. Finally, the day came for the aliens and humans to test their skills in a mock battle. Captain Walker gathered everyone on the bridge. "This is our chance to see how far we've come. We'll simulate an enemy attack, and I want everyone to use what you've learned." The crew nodded, their faces filled with determination. They were ready. As the simulation began, the lights dimmed and alerts blared. The crew rushed to their stations, adrenaline pumping through their veins. They had trained hard, and now it was time to put their skills to the test. "Enemy ships approaching," shouted the tactical officer. "Form up," Walker ordered. "Let's show them what we've got." The human and alien ships moved into formation, flying in tight clusters. They communicated clearly, following the plan they had practiced. As they faced the mock enemy, their teamwork was put to the ultimate test. The battle simulation was intense. Ships darted through space, lasers flew, and explosions rocked the battlefield. But through it all, the aliens and humans fought side by side, using their training to outsmart the simulated enemy. In the end, the mock battle ended in victory. As the alarms turned off, cheers erupted across the bridge. They had worked together, just as they had planned. "Excellent work, everyone," Captain Walker exclaimed, her face beaming with pride. "This is what we can achieve when we stand united. We are stronger together." The aliens cheered, their spirits high. They had faced their fears, learned from each other, and proved that they could work as a team. They had found a new sense of purpose, and with that purpose came hope. As the crew celebrated their success, they knew that the real battle was still ahead. But they were no longer afraid. They had a plan, and they had each other. The galaxy might be a dangerous place, but together, they felt ready to face anything. In that moment, they realized that they were not just fighting for themselves, they were fighting for the future of the galaxy. And with the humans leading the way, they believed they could overcome any challenge. The final battle. The time had come. After weeks of preparation, the allied forces of humans and aliens were ready for the final battle against the creatures that had terrorized the galaxy. Captain Sarah Walker stood on the bridge of her flagship, her heart pounding with determination. She looked out at the stars, knowing that the fate of countless worlds rested on their shoulders. "Are we ready?" she asked her crew, who were busy checking systems and preparing weapons. "Ready as we'll ever be," replied Lieutenant Kim, her voice filled with excitement. The Allied fleet was massive, made up of ships from many different races. Humans, Zorakians, Frakari, and Glorians all worked together, united by a common goal. They had trained hard, and now they were prepared to face their enemy. "Commander Vorlak, what's our current position?" Walker asked, turning to the towering Drakari general. "We are close to the creature's base," Vorlak replied, his eyes narrowed with focus. "They will not expect us to attack so soon." "Good. Let's catch them off guard. All ships, prepare to jump to warp speed," Walker ordered. As the fleet prepared for the jump, the tension in the air was palpable. Everyone knew this would be the most dangerous fight they had ever faced. The creatures were powerful and had already caused destruction across the galaxy. But the Allied forces had something the creatures did not: unity and a strong will to protect their homes. "Jump in 3, 2, 1, jump," Walker commanded. In an instant, the fleet jumped into warp speed, stars stretching into lines as they traveled through space. Moments later, they emerged near the creature's base, a dark and twisted fortress floating in the void. "Steady, everyone," Walker said, her voice calm despite the chaos. "We're about to engage the enemy." The creature ships swarmed around their base like angry hornets. Their eyes glowed bright red as they spotted the Allied fleet. But instead of panicking, Walker saw determination in the faces of her crew and the alien leaders. They had come too far to turn back now. "Fire at will," Walker shouted. The Allied ships opened fire, lasers and missiles lighting up the darkness of space. The creatures fought back with equal ferocity, their ships moving quickly and striking hard. Explosions filled the air as both sides battled fiercely. General Vorlak roared, "Push forward. We cannot let them regroup." The Allied fleet advanced, using the strategies they had practiced for weeks. The humans and aliens worked together seamlessly, supporting each other in the heat of battle. Their teamwork was a powerful force against the creatures. But the battle was not easy. The creatures were relentless. They fought back with everything they had, their ships crashing into the Allied forces, causing damage and chaos. Captain Walker felt her heart race as she watched the destruction unfold on the main screen. "Status report," she yelled, urgency in her voice. "Multiple ships damaged. We're holding, but we need to find their weakness." The tactical officer replied, his face tense. "Zira, any updates on the enemy's movements?" Walker called to the Glorian scientist. "I'm working on it. I believe their command ship is vulnerable," Zira replied, typing rapidly on her console. "If we can take it down, the rest will fall." "Then that's our target," Walker said. "All ships, focus fire on the command ship." With renewed purpose, the Allied fleet turned their weapons toward the massive command ship at the heart of the creature's formation. It was heavily armored, but they had to try. Walker could see the determination in her crew's eyes, and it fueled her own resolve. As they approached the command ship, the creatures unleashed their most powerful weapons. Energy blasts shot through the air, hitting several Allied ships. Captain Walker gritted her teeth, knowing they had to keep pushing forward. "Hold the line," she shouted. "We can do this." The Allied ships began to maneuver, dodging enemy fire while maintaining their focus on the command ship. The air was filled with tension as they fired their weapons, but the command ship remained standing, absorbing the hits. Come on," Walker urged as she watched the battle unfold. "We have to break through." Suddenly, a beam of energy struck one of the human ships, causing it to explode in a fiery blaze. Walker's heart sank as she saw the loss. "Maintain formation," Vorlak bellowed, rallying the troops. "We will not falter." Inspired by Vorlak's words, the crew found new strength. They fought with everything they had, unleashing a relentless barrage of firepower on the command ship. Walker felt a surge of hope as she saw the ship begin to weaken. "Now, fire everything we've got," she commanded. With a deafening roar, the Allied fleet released their full might on the command ship. Lasers, missiles, and torpedoes struck it with incredible force. The command ship shook violently, and for a moment, it seemed as if time had stopped. Then, with a blinding flash of light, the command ship exploded. Cheers erupted throughout the Allied fleet. They had done it. The heart of the creature's power was gone, and the remaining enemy ships began to retreat. "Follow them. We can't let them escape," Walker shouted, filled with adrenaline. The Allied forces pursued the fleeing creatures, driving them back into the depths of space. The victory was theirs, but the cost had been high. They had lost ships and friends, but they had also gained something priceless, a sense of unity and strength. As the last of the creatures fled, Captain Walker and General Vorlak shared a glance of triumph. They had come together to fight against a common enemy and had won. The galaxy would remember this day, a day of courage, teamwork, and the spirit of humanity. Together, they had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. Now, as the stars shone brightly above, the Allied forces knew they were stronger together. They had forged new alliances and created a bond that would last for generations. And with that bond, they would protect the galaxy from any future threats. Victory and respect. The stars twinkled brightly in the vastness of space. But today, the galaxy felt different. After the great battle, the Allied forces of humans and aliens celebrated their hard-won victory. They had faced incredible odds and emerged stronger together. Captain Sarah Walker stood on the bridge of her flagship, a smile spreading across her face as she watched her crew cheer and celebrate. "Captain, the fleet is hailing us," Lieutenant Kim announced, her voice filled with excitement. "Put them on screen," Walker replied, eager to hear the good news. The screen flickered, and the faces of the leaders from the alien races filled the display. General Vorlak, Commander Vryn, and Zira were all present, their expressions filled with pride and gratitude. "Captain Walker," Vorlak said, his deep voice booming, "you have led us to victory. Your bravery and leadership have inspired us all." Walker felt a swell of pride at his words. "Thank you, General. But this victory belongs to all of us. We fought together, and together we won." The aliens nodded, acknowledging the truth in her statement. They had become a team, and the bonds they formed during the battle would last a lifetime. Vryn leaned forward, his eyes shining. "We have much to discuss. The creatures may have fled, but we need to ensure they do not return. We must work together to protect our homes." "I agree," Walker said. "We need to share our knowledge and resources. By working together, we can create a stronger defense against any future threats." Zira smiled, her face bright with enthusiasm. "I can help establish communication channels between our races. We can share technology and intelligence to keep each other safe." As the leaders discussed their plans, the crew celebrated in the background. They laughed, danced, and shared stories of their experiences during the battle. The air was filled with joy, but beneath the laughter, there was a sense of purpose. They knew their work was not finished. After the meeting, Walker gathered her crew. "I am proud of each and every one of you. We faced our fears and fought for what we believe in. But we must remember that the fight is not over. We need to stay alert and be ready for anything." The crew nodded, their spirits high. They had accomplished something great, but they understood the importance of remaining vigilant. The galaxy was a vast place, and danger could come from anywhere. In the days that followed, the Allied forces began to strengthen their ties. They worked together to build new technologies, combining the best of human and alien inventions. The humans taught the aliens about strategy and tactics, while the aliens shared their advanced technology. Captain Walker spent time with Vorlak, learning more about Drakari culture. Vorlak shared stories of his people's bravery and their struggles. In return, Walker told him about humanity's history of fighting for freedom and justice. They found common ground in their experiences, realizing they had more in common than they thought. During one of their meetings, Vorlak turned to Walker. "You humans have a strong spirit. I admire that. Your courage is unmatched. It is an honor to stand beside you." Walker smiled, feeling a deep sense of respect for the Drakari general. "And I admire your strength and leadership. Together, we can protect our galaxy." As they built their new alliance, the galaxy began to change. News of their victory spread, and other alien races took notice. Many sought to join the alliance, eager to learn from the humans and the united forces. Walker welcomed them with open arms, understanding the importance of unity in the face of future threats. But not all news was good. Rumors spread that the creatures were regrouping, planning their next move. The Allied forces knew they had to remain strong and ready. One day, as Walker stood on the bridge, she received an urgent message. "Captain, we have detected a large fleet of creature ships approaching the outer rim." The tactical officer reported, his voice tense. "Prepare for battle." Walker commanded, her heart racing. "We need to alert the other fleets and get everyone ready." The crew moved quickly, sending messages to their allies and preparing their ships for the fight ahead. General Vorlak and Commander Vryn joined her on the bridge, their expressions serious. "We must show them that we will not back down," Vorlak said, his fists clenched. "Together, we can face anything," Vryn added, determination in his eyes. Walker nodded, feeling a sense of pride in her team. They had come so far, and now they stood united once more. The creatures thought they could return and threaten the galaxy, but they were wrong. They would face the full force of the allied races, and this time, they would not be caught off guard. As the fleet prepared for battle, Captain Walker took a moment to look around at her crew. They were ready, their spirits high. They had formed bonds that would last a lifetime, and together, they would protect their homes. "Let's show them what we're made of," Walker said, her voice strong. "This is our galaxy, and we will fight for it." The crew cheered, their hearts filled with courage. They knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. They were allies, friends, and warriors ready to defend their galaxy.